Deontay Johnson from the Pittsburgh Steelers had a concussion yesterday. Now we see how, of course, my Steelers are 3-0 right now. Big Ben is
he plugging. But
hey,
go ahead.
All right.
That's a free plug.
I had to throw that in there. You
ahead.
know, all y'all Steelers fans out there, you know what I'm talking about. But really, that's another one of these offenses like we were talking about with Seattle, Baltimore, Kansas City. You getting offenses that's going to put in a lot of work, a lot high scoring potential. Pittsburgh is one of those. Even though they got a great defense as well, and they're going to hold teams, maybe under 20, stuff like that. But at the same token, it's too many weapons involved in that offense for them not to be fantasy relevant. And with Deontay Johnson going out, he's averaging like 10 targets a game. Them targets got to go somewhere. So Chase Claypool is another person that we talked about on the previous video. And again, he still probably could be sitting out there because he's kind of like your boom or bust type of player, But in a situation like this, if Deontay Johnson is going to be out for any length of time, like I said, that's about 10 targets. They're going to have to divide between 3 other receivers. And Claypool is a huge target. Now, your people like Ebron, even McDonald.
Yeah.
He might get, some targets here and there. Ebron, especially in the red zone.
Yeah.
But if they put Claypool and move him on the outside.
And guys, like we saying, we always getting you ready for thinking ahead. So you having Chase Claypool now is going to save you later when everybody's bidding for him. When Juju goes down and out 3 weeks and another receiver goes down, and they only have 3 receivers there: James Washington, Claypool, and somebody else, whoever. So if you already have Claypool on your bench, this is how you play. You got to have guys on your bench, not just handcuffs running backs, but receivers who can end up taking over a role and booming.
Yep.
So right now, go get Chase Claypool and put him on your bench or trade for him. And like I said, you can trade a little bit. You trade bench players for bench players. But, you can give him Naeem Hines, who be getting 10 points here and 10 points here. I would rather have Chase Claypool unless Naeem Hines was a starter on my team.
Right.
So if I had Naeem and I've been sitting him for the last 2 weeks and he's getting 10 points, people are seeing that. Yeah. Say, well, look, man, I give you Naeem Hines, man, for Chase Claypool.
Yeah. Because that's another segment we're going to talk about as far as like being able to set up trades. But that's another great example.
And I want to thank one of my subscribers. He gave me, he asked me, could I do a video on trade values? Yeah, so I'm going to do a video on trade values today, bro.
And that's kind of like one of the things that you can look at. Being able, it's almost like masking. So anyway, we'll go ahead and go into that.
Okay.
Now, since because we basically wrapped up with Claypool, but basically, like I said, he's going to be a great target to look for this week, especially if Deontay misses some time, 2 or 3 games. We don't know. We don't know the severity of the concussion. Just keep tuned in. We'll try to keep you updated. But again, he's one that you can go and get. And like, if he is on somebody else's team, kind of like in the next segment, we're talking about setting up trades. You can use, sometimes if you're wanting to get somebody, you got to throw something else out there, kind of like a smoke and mirror type situation, just to be able to get the exact thing that you want. You don't want, especially if you got a savvy group of guys that you play with, you don't want to go ahead and say, okay, I want Allen Robinson, and just say, hey, I'll give you such and such for A-Rod. You kind of want to say, hey, I see you got Deebo Samuels. I know he's on IR right now. I give you just player A and player B for Deebo.
Something
and
that he's
A-Rod.
kind of, right, like you're saying, he probably say no for, right?
Exactly.
So you're not giving something he's going to say yes. So give him, say, well, look, man, I'll trade you Foster Moreau for Deebo. He's like, bro, I don't want no Foster Moreau. He well, look, I give you Naeem Hines for Chase Claypool, and you can put back and bundle all that together.
Right.
So he like, so he don't know that you want Claypool, because as soon as they know who you want, they're gonna be like, something ain't right.
Exactly.
Something ain't right, because people rather lose than see you do good. Right. So you got to give smoke and mirrors trade. The first time you tell a guy to trade, don't let that be the final trade. Say something that he's gonna say no back, and then you come back and come back with the player that you really want, and throw in another player, and he be like, oh, okay, all right.
Right.
And he never knew who you traded for.
Exactly.
It's smoke and mirrors, right?
Yep. And running backs, I think, to me, in my opinion, it's easy to do that type of situation, especially like somebody who's not particularly playing well, like Mixon. Joe Mixon is another one. Last year, man, I was in the league, and me and you talked about this before. A guy actually dropped him in my league, one of my leagues I was in, because he wasn't playing well. So running backs are pretty much, they're up and down, up and down. Some of the ones that teeter-totter within RB2, RB3 status, you know, they have those boom or bust weeks. But if you look at their schedule, you see the workload that they have been getting, and it could just been game script or something to that effect. And if you can see that going forward, like Joe Mixon in particular, it's been game script. They hadn't really been giving him the work like they needed, because they've been having to come from behind and stuff like that. Although they should be giving him targets, he can catch just as good as Gio Bernard.
Yeah.
So, but long story short, he's another one that you probably could buy low on. But in the midst of trying to trade for him, say like you might have, let's just say you got, I'm thinking of RB2, somebody that you can do.
Kenyon Drake,
yeah. You can trade a Kenyon Drake for him, because at the end of the day, the upside of Mixon is, in my opinion, and I'm sure you probably agree, is a little bit higher.
Because you have a running quarterback that's going to be taking a lot of those rushing touchdowns from him. But then Joe Burrow might scramble for a touchdown, but he's not looking to try to do a quarterback choice in the red zone.
Yeah, anything within that green zone.
And it also got to get cold, so you can talk to him about it getting cold, where it changes the game flow.
Exactly.
So he might not be getting work now, but when it get cold, and it's a bad weather game, Joe Mixon is getting all that work.
Exactly.
Gio ain't coming in. None of those guys are coming in.
No. Them pass catching backs, that value kind of depreciates a little bit. Depends on where you're playing at. You got a lot of domes out here and stuff like that, climate control areas. But for the most part, when you're going into that cold weather,
bell cow.
Yep. You look at the teams that's got great running backs or running systems. They're the ones that are success. That's what you need to look for. Even, and that's another thing. Probably we'll do another video on that deserves a video on itself. Looking at playoff runs, what you need to look for in the playoff stretch.
Right. I'm willing to do a video on that.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's where you get a lot of teams that have great running backs, or like I said, systems that run the ball. That's why they succeed during those cold months. And when you're looking at week 13 and 14, you're looking at October, November. You know what I'm saying? It's cold. So you got to start looking ahead and looking at some of those backs, like Dobbins.
There you go.
Or, like I said,
that's
Connor,
a trade.
stuff like that.
Dobbins is great trade bait right now. And I use Naheem because, guys, I think Naheem is the best trade bait out here right now. I'm not saying he's not going to have another boom game, but I need to take him and trade him for a running back that's going to boom at the second half of the season. So there's a lot of guys that are not going to be getting the work that they're getting now, second half of the season. So why not take Naheem and take him and trade him for a running back that's on the bench, who's not getting a lot of work right now, and you know that he's going to get work in the wintertime. Especially a bigger back.
And here's another guy, Adrian Peterson.
That's another guy.
AP.
And it get cold.
You get cold, man. They gonna get AP that rock. And these are guys, like I said, that you can get, especially right now. This is the best time to get players like that. Have them on your bench. Even though AP, he's got standalone value now. You can play him as a flex, because as it stands right now, he's getting to work in Detroit. But that's another team. When it gets cold, they running the ball. Matt Patricia, he believes he runs the ball. He's a Bill Belichick disciple. He's gonna run that ball. Although I don't like the trying to find a running back out of that Patriots system is crazy. They're gonna run the ball, but you don't know which one it's gonna be.